going to roll right into it then, I suppose. Let me present, and we'll get started.
Sweet. So maybe we can start with reintroducing ourselves for folks that missed the beginning of the stream. My name is McKenna Barlow. I'm a PM on the .NET Tools team with a focus on modernization and .NET upgrades. And I'm here today with Chet.
Yeah, I'm Chet, and I am struggling getting the presentation to work because I mostly work on CLI tools and not PowerPoints. Let's just start again. There we go.
Beautiful. So we're super excited to share with you today. We have a bunch of cool new things that we've been working on in the upgrade space, including AI tooling that will hopefully make your upgrades a lot faster and easier. So let's go get started. First, we can take a look at our agenda for the session today. First, I'm just going to set the scene a little bit and give some background on upgrades and modernization, just giving some context on why we chose to invest in this area. Then you'll get to learn all about our latest .NET upgrade tool, which is GitHub Copilot upgrade for .NET with agent mode. And Chet will show you a demo of the tool in Visual Studio and a prototype that we have for VS Code. After that, I'll fill you in on some of the customer engagements that we have been involved in, some user validation we've been doing. And the next part of this story will hopefully include you, because at the end of this presentation, you'll have a chance to sign up to be among the first to access this tool. So make sure that you stay tuned till the end so that you can catch the QR code for the sign up. To wrap it up, I'll basically just address some of the most common questions we get around the tool and share what exciting things we have coming soon. Afterwards, hopefully we'll get a chance to answer some of your questions and feedback. So let's go ahead and get started. So today, obviously, we are talking about modernization. And being honest, most developers are super not waking up excited about upgrading their code base. It's one of those tasks that's really easy to keep putting off until you have security risks, performance bottlenecks, or missing features start holding you back, like we were just talking about with Scott. And the reality is that every new version of .NET brings really great improvements, including performance, stronger security, access to modern development tools, all that good stuff. And staying on outdated frameworks, it's not just a technical debt problem, it's actually a missed opportunity for you to be innovating faster and keeping your applications running at their best here. So I will say you're all attending a talk at a conference with a focus on modernization, so you probably know a thing or two already about why is modern .NET so great? Why should I upgrade? But before diving in, I just wanted to highlight some of these key reasons why upgrading is worth it. So upgrading to the newest .NET has several benefits that can significantly enhance your development experience. The first of those areas is performance improvements. So the latest .NET versions often do come with performance enhancements that can make your applications run faster and more efficiently. These are lots of different optimizations, such as in the runtime, tools, your libraries. The second reason we have here is security enhancements. And this is because newer versions include important security updates that actually will protect your applications from vulnerabilities. And staying up to date ensures that you have the latest security features and patches. And in today's security-first world, it's becoming increasingly important that you're actually staying up to date with the latest .NET here. On the latest .NET, you'll also be able to take advantage of the new features and APIs. So each new release of .NET introduces a ton of new features and APIs that can really simplify development and enable you to build more powerful applications from the start. Upgrading also offers improved tooling experiences, which we had touched on in the keynote. We have lots of different development tools and extensions for .NET that are continuously improving, and moving to modern .NET can get you access to really cool new tooling experiences. Like I had mentioned some before, including Hot Reload, C# Dev Kit, MAUI debugging support. These are all awesome new features that come with modern .NET. It's really also important for compatibility and support. So upgrading is ensuring that your applications will remain compatible with the latest technologies and platforms, and also ensures that you're going to continue to receive support from Microsoft, because older versions eventually do reach an end of life and won't receive updates any longer. So you'll want to make sure that you're on modern .NET, which will be continued to be supported by Microsoft. Finally, and this is actually a key piece here, is that it allows you to take advantage of the community and the ecosystem. So you all probably know that we have a very vibrant .NET developer community and a lot of folks contributing to the ecosystem every day. So by getting on the latest version, you can go ahead and take advantage of all of the latest community contributions, libraries, frameworks, all these things that are designed to work with the newest .NET versions. Plus, with cross-platform support and cloud-native capabilities, modern .NET gives you the flexibility to build and deploy your applications anywhere. So whether you're targeting Windows, Linux, containers, or even serverless environments, upgrading will ensure that your apps are future-proof and ready for things that come next. So that's where our new GitHub Copilot upgrade for .NET comes in. We know that upgrades can be painful, but we've built something to take some of the frustration out of that process. So today we'll be showing you how we've made upgrading faster and smarter and hopefully easier so that you can spend less time wrestling with your migrations and more time focusing on building the great software that you want to do. First, I wanted to take a little bit of a step back and talk about some of the tools that we do already have in this space. We had talked about a handful of them with Scott just a minute ago. Many of you are probably already familiar with the .NET Upgrade Assistant. This is a tool that is available on the Visual Studio Marketplace as a Visual Studio extension, and it's also a .NET Global CLI tool. And this has been a super valuable resource for developers who are looking to upgrade their .NET projects. It can help you analyze your code, identify compatibility issues, and even automate some of the necessary changes. So it can handle multiple different types of upgrades here. And we have some of the options straight out of Visual Studio on the slide right now. First, we have in-place project upgrade. And this basically just upgrades your project without making a copy. So it just makes the changes to your project and keeps it all in one piece. Second, we have the side-by-side project upgrade, which copies your project and then makes the upgrade on the copy, so it leaves your original project untouched. Finally, there's side-by-side incremental. So this is the one that's a really good choice for complicated web apps in particular. Upgrading from ASP.NET to ASP.NET Core requires quite a bit of work and at times some manual refactoring here. So what this mode does is it basically puts that .NET project facade in front of the existing framework project, and then endpoints are routed through the .NET project, and all the other calls will be sent to the framework application. So this mode is awesome because it lets you slowly upgrade your ASP.NET or library app piece by piece. You can stretch out your upgrade as long as you need it to be. It can be mixed in with project development. Your project will always be up and running in this case. Now, we do also offer some feature upgrades. And one of those is upgrading to use NuGet Central Package Management, or CPM. This is really helpful for multi-project solutions that share dependencies. If you want to keep those consolidated in one place, it's going to make your upgrade a lot easier, going to make your life a lot easier. We have an option to take you to use CPM along the way as you're upgrading. And same with taking you to SDK style. So we have these that are basically a checkbox where you can do that upgrade along the way with your other upgrade. And once you select, like for example, the CPM option, your package references will be modified, your solution or the project that you selected will now be using CPM. So Upgrade Assistant is awesome. It's helped a lot of developers really get started with their modernization journey, but it does have some limitations here. So for example, it currently upgrades only one project at a time, which, as you probably know, that can be a really huge problem when you have multiple interdependent projects. So if your dependencies aren't upgraded together, NuGet restore can fail. It can make it really difficult to reach that fully upgraded state, sometimes even leaving you broken. So then there's the challenge of analysis and reporting. So the tool does provide a pretty comprehensive upgrade report that we just saw, but sometimes that report can be a little too comprehensive. So for example, if you're staring at thousands and thousands of issues, like how do you know where to begin? How do you track progress over time? It can be difficult to manage. And finally, while Upgrade Assistant includes many built-in code transformations, it simply can't account for every possible upgrade scenario, right? Some cases will still require a lot of manual intervention here. So that said, one of the biggest strengths of Upgrade Assistant is its flexibility. So from the start, it was designed to be extensible, allowing for different kinds of upgrades using dynamic, abstract contracts rather than rigid, hard-coded rules. So with that foundation in mind, we gathered a bunch of real-world feedback from developers tackling enterprise-scale upgrades. We saw the challenges they were facing and asked, how can we make this better? What kind of tooling can we create to support these scenarios? So that is where AI-driven modernization comes in. By leveraging AI, we set out to create a tool that goes beyond what Upgrade Assistant could do. It would help you build an upgrade plan. It would guide you step by step, track your progress, and let you actually work at your own pace. So with that, we'd like to introduce GitHub Copilot Upgrade for .NET, which is our newest AI-driven upgrade tool with agent mode capabilities that will help you seamlessly upgrade your apps to modern .NET. Now, you might hear Copilot in the name and immediately think of some sort of AI-powered coding assistant that is suggesting lines of code or something similar, but in this case, it's actually doing much more. GitHub Copilot Upgrade for .NET isn't just making suggestions here, it's actually guiding the entire .NET upgrade process and automating the changes necessary, all with minimal user input. So what it does is it analyzes your projects, resolves dependencies, and it helps to rewrite outdated code to be compatible with your newer .NET versions. So instead of spending hours sitting and debugging your upgrade issues, you're going to get intelligent automated assistants that will make the transition much more smooth. It's really kind of like having an AI-powered upgrade expert sitting next to you, so they can handle the tedious, monotonous parts while you focus on what matters and building good apps. And unlike Copilot edits, which do require user confirmation for every action, our tool can actually act autonomously and then independently take step-by-step actions to actually make the changes required for your upgrade, all with minimal user intervention. We now also have support for GitHub Copilot Agent Mode, which is available soon in Visual Studio. So with Chat Agent Mode in VS and VS Code, you can use natural language to define some high-level task, in this case, like upgrade to .NET 8 or 9, and it'll start an agentic code editing session that will help accomplish that task. So in Agent Mode, Copilot autonomously plans the work needed and determines the relevant files and contexts, and then can make the changes and edits to your code base and actually invoke the tools that will be required to accomplish whatever request you've made. So this means that we have a really tight integration with GitHub Copilot Chat, and you can upgrade your whole solution with just a few back and forth chats in agent mode. So let's now walk through what this upgrade experience actually looks like and how it works. Upgrading a .NET solution isn't just about changing a few lines of code, right? You can't just flip the TFM and you're good to go. It's really about following the right process here so that you can ensure a smooth transition. And that's exactly what our new upgrade tool is designed to do. So the first step is we're going to start with a goal. So you define what you want, like upgrading your solution to .NET 8, for example. The second step would be the tool generating a plan. Now, this isn't just a generic checklist, it's a smart dependency-aware upgrade strategy. So one of the most exciting features of the tool is that you can now upgrade your entire solution in one go. So no more project-by-project upgrades, no more fiddling around with tangled messes of all these dependencies. As I mentioned before, we know that this comes with some complicated dependency management. So this tool can accomplish these whole solution upgrades by figuring out which project needs to be upgraded first so that everything basically just fits together correctly. So for example, if project A depends on project B, it'll ensure that they're upgraded in the right order. The next step is the tool actually executing the plan, automating as much of the upgrade process as possible. But as we all know, real-world upgrades don't always go smoothly, so that's where things get really interesting here. One of the most powerful aspects of GitHub Copilot Upgrade for .NET is that it's not a black box, so it's actively keeping you in the loop throughout the upgrade process. As the AI scans and transforms your project, it automates as much as possible, but we know that real-world code is complex, and sometimes the AI is going to hit a situation that it can't resolve on its own. So when that does happen, the tool doesn't just stop. It'll stop and ask for your input. So you'll be prompted to review whatever issue there is and then make the necessary manual changes. And once you fix the problem, the tool will pick up right where you left off with no need to restart or redo steps, and it can save your progress. But here's where it gets even smarter. The tool actually learns from your interventions. So if the AI encounters a similar issue later on in your upgrade, it can intelligently apply the fix based on what it's learned. So over time, this means fewer manual steps, more accurate upgrades, and an experience that will continuously improve for you. So instead of this all or nothing automation approach, Copilot Upgrade works with you, making upgrades smoother, but ensuring that you do stay in control. So finally, once everything is upgraded, the tool finalizes the process and suggests any additional steps to ensure their application is fully modernized and ready to go. So this is super great. What does this mean for you? more automation, hopefully fewer headaches, and an upgrade process that actually works for complex solutions. Now that we have a sense of what the tool is and what it does, I'm going to hand it off to Chet to show you what this looks like in Visual Studio.
Sweet. Thanks, McKenna. Let's take a look at not TinyOS Core. Just for giggles, I did the Copilot assisted upgrade for TinyOS in case we wanted to show it. So there's Scott's TinyOS project all upgraded. But we're going to take a look at MVC Movie Net 6, which is a repository that has an ASP.NET Core MVC application and tests, a Razor application and tests, and a WPF application and tests. And we're going to use the GitHub Copilot agent mode powered upgrade process to upgrade this from .NET 6 to .NET 9 in one fell swoop. Along the way, we'll see each of those checkpoints that McKenna just mentioned. So I'm on like bleeding edge bits here because some of the things haven't yet released publicly that are required to make this work as cleanly as we're going to see here. So I trigger it at the solution level. I could have done that via chat here, but different people have different approaches to starting the process, and we support all of them. As McKenna mentioned, the very first thing the tool is going to do is figure out where you want to go. In my case, I want to go to .NET 9. So I'm going to start there. And once you know where you're going to go, it's going to set up the Git source control integration. I really like this feature because as we go along and progress project by project and problem by problem, the tool is going to checkpoint and give me a commit at each stage along the way. I can go back and diff those and see exactly what it did and have very good traceability. As we're still sort of building confidence in AI-assisted tooling in general, this is a really great way to cover your bases and help you learn how the tool works. So I'm happy with this branch name. So we'll go ahead and let it know that I'm okay with upgrade to .NET 9, and we'll continue on. So now that it's got all the prerequisite data it needs, it's going to generate the plan, the process by which it's going to do this upgrade. And that'll take just a moment, and then we will get a sort of markdown file describing the steps. As someone who has done SDK updates in the past and TFM upgrades, I suspect it's going to say things like, make sure you have the right version of the .NET SDK, or make sure that we upgrade the TFMs, the target framework monikers in the relevant projects, and upgrade packages to correct versions for the new TFM. And lo and behold, that is exactly what it's done. It is suggested that we validate we have the SDKs required locally. It has suggested that we're going to need to update target frameworks and that we're going to need to upgrade certain package versions, both because of new target framework compatibility, but also because of package vulnerabilities that it has noticed. So we're doing strictly more than the base amount required, but overall our application will be modernized and more or less vulnerable. One thing in the process that McKenna mentioned is that some of these changes, especially to packages or TFMs, may introduce new diagnostics or new errors that we have to respond to along the way. So we'll see if any of these trigger any such changes as we go. I told the tool to continue with the upgrade, and now it has given me this sort of timeline display of what's going on. You can see high-level items here for upgrading each of the projects in a dependency-aware fashion. And if you go into a completed one, you can drill down into specifics about what it thought needed to be done. In this case, I already have a .NET 9 SDK installed, and so nothing more needed to be done. Upgrading the Razor project, we see that it has upgraded the target framework. It is looking at NuGet versions that need to be upgraded. And we start to see some red here. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to take a look at what it's seeing. It's seeing some missing type names. So I'm thinking about that as it's trying to address this problem sort of automatically for me. But I have a suspicion it's not going to be able to solve this problem on its own. And so in a second, it's going to prompt me to fix it. Yep. Okay, so if I scroll up a little bit, we can see that it got to a point where it decided it could not solve this problem. And so it presented me with some information about the problem. I'm going to click this button to enter into what we call a user in the loop, like interactive solving session. It has spawned a Copilot that's been preloaded with some context if I want to ask it any questions. I'm a little more comfortable like poking around in the code first because I'm used to Visual Studio giving me strong hints here. And when I see that this namespace isn't here, and that's why this type can't be resolved, my first thought is, okay, well, what namespaces do I have? Oh, the problem here is the casing. It's lowercase s's and it used to be uppercase s's. So we're just going to go ahead and fix that. Fix that in both locations. And then we will make sure that both those locations, yep, we're in the same file. And once we're done and we've resolved all those blockers, then we'll resume. That error came about because the package of HTML sanitizer was updated from the vulnerable version to a non-vulnerable version. Now, what is very interesting about this is that learning that McKenna mentioned. Now that I have done a user interaction and solved those problems, it verified that the problems were solved by doing a build again. And then it tried to do some analysis about why the problem worked. So in this case, it has highlighted the casing change and then decided that the casing change fixed the problem. If we encounter this problem again in the rest of the upgrade, we should see the tool automatically apply that change. You can see how this would begin to scale if you have many projects or if you've upgraded a core dependency that changed in a breaking way. So we are still on the Razor movie. It looks like we have a couple more changes that I missed in a different file. We will fix those and resume once more. And while we're waiting for that to continue on, I'll scan chat real quick. A lot of questions about the capabilities that I'm hoping we'll get a chance to get to. It looks like it's not saving my file in some way. That is unfortunate. Oh, nope, I just missed another one. That's my fault. Let's resume, and now we should be unblocked at last. Yeah, it brought me to that one again. All right, so we finally made it through Razor Movie, and it did finally analyze and commit our combined changes. So we moved on to MVC Movie, and it's doing similar upgrades here, mostly package upgrades. We'll see what else comes along the way. All right, MVC, there were no major changes here. It was just the NuGet package upgrades. And there was another package upgrade for like SQL client. And as always, for each of these steps, we can take a look at the commits along the way that changed and verify. So you'll generally see a pattern of target framework change, package change, any subsequent other changes. The WPF one is one I really want to dig into as well. So WPF in .NET 9, there is a breaking change that I know about where the binary formatter APIs were marked as deprecated. And so this will show up as a warning or error depending on your use case. What I can see is that after the dependencies and target framework were upgraded, there were some changes made. Right. here. So in WPF, because the binary formatter APIs were deprecated, the tool has changed the usage of serialization over to use system text JSON instead. This is an automatic thing. There's a to-do marker that is applied to it, but this is an example of the tool getting you to something buildable. And then you can follow back and pick up on that thread and decide if JSON serialization is an appropriate fit for your use case. So that saves you a lot of research and gives you a landing point to pick up from there. The rest of the test projects sort of blaze through pretty simply. There is an example of the learning that I talked about here. So in the tests for the Razor project, we encountered the same missing namespace. And when we look at this investigate changes, the tool has proposed fixing the casing of the library and did that change. And so now we're done. So it learned, it committed some changes that we can follow along the way, and it brought us in the loop when we needed to fix specific changes that it didn't understand. It then used that fix to make the rest of the upgrade even smoother. So that's sort of the end of the VS-based demo of what the tooling for automated upgrades for .NET using GitHub Copilot agent mode can look like. McKenna, before I jump into VS Code, was there anything that you wanted to mention on that one before we swap?
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out the report that is generated as well. So it generates a markdown report that basically summarizes all these changes we're seeing here. So it'll tell us all the projects that we had upgraded, the target framework changes, the package changes, all of the commits. And it's a pretty nice report here that you can go ahead and send to whoever you might be working with on your upgrade. It has some nice next steps as well. So this is a good landing spot once I've finished my upgrade to understand the state of things,
Yeah. So yeah, at this point, we've got commits in a branch. We could push that up to our CI/CD pipelines to start running tests on them. This took out the drudgery part of the upgrade. Now we have to do the parts that are interesting, and the tooling could even get more empowered in the future to help us do some of these next steps potentially. So that's the VS experience. I wanted to pivot for a moment and take a look at what a potential VS Code driven version of that same experience might look like. So I'm over in VS Code Insiders now. I've got Copilot agent mode set up over here, and I'm in the same repo, MVC movie net 6. Same problem statement. I want to upgrade some projects to .NET 9. I'm going to do things slightly differently this time. For the sake of time, we're only going to focus on one project here. And so I'll do the MVC movie project instead. But there are some things that I want to call out here. The experience looks a little different in VS Code. Those of you who have played with agent mode and have been using MCP servers, Model Context Protocol servers, may notice that we have some tools registered. Well, in this preview experience, the delivery vehicle is MCP servers. So we have one for the upgrade agent process that we're going to kick off here. So we're going to start purely in agent mode, and we're going to say upgrade the MVC movie project to .NET 9 and kick off the workflow. So structurally, this should feel similar to what we just showed in VS, but it will have slightly different specifics as we are sort of experiencing the same steps in a VS Code scenario. So those of you who have used MCP tools before will be familiar with this. The tool is going to run, or the upgrade process is going to run some tools to get some of that same data that VS just sort of implicitly collected. My understanding is this is an experience that is going to be smoothed out in future versions of the MCP tooling for VS Code. So this prompt should look similar. It's asking me where I want to go. I gave it a hint, so I'm just going to go tell it that it inferred my meaning correctly. And it's going to do the same thing here, generating the branch that we want. That branch name is fine by me. And then we're going to generate the plan, just like we did in VS. Except my server crashed, so we're going to try this again. Looks like we are having a couple problems with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a video instead of that same process. And we will see, I might skip forward in this to sort of the upgrade plan process so everybody can see that a little more clearly. Once the thing loads. Taking a hot minute. Nope. Where was this video? All right, well, that's not going super great. So suffice to say, it would generate the same plan and it would generate that same markdown. And just like in VS, we'd be able to approve the plan and continue. And it would do all of the same things. The only difference is that it would do them by invoking a series of MCP tools to get to the desired end result. Writing MCP tools right now is still kind of an art, and it's an area of active development. So it is a little bit bleeding edge. So we'll just pass on this for now, but MCP as a distribution mechanism and as a way of sort of getting similar experiences across IDEs is something that we are very interested in. So I'm going to go back to the slides and we'll see if McKenna, you want to pick it up. Actually, it looks like the slides are working, so we might be able to show the demo. Yeah, okay, so let's see if this will play. Can y'all hear this or not?
I can't hear it, Chad.
Okay, so I'll just talk over it while it's going. We're in the same repo, like I said. We're on main. I'm just sort of establishing the context here. And we'll move forward a bit and get the plan, like I tried to do. So after a second here, it generates the plan, and then here is the markdown. Again, structurally similar to what we saw in VS, target frameworks, NuGet package upgrades. So nothing crazy here. So the tool asked me to review it. So I say, let's go for it. Let's run that plan. And then we get into the processing loop that we saw in VS. So the major thing that you'll note here is, unlike VS, we don't have that rich output with the details along each way, but that's something that's under active development right now. MCP tools and the way that they interact with the GitHub Copilot agent mode interface is something that lots of teams in Microsoft and in the broader community are interested in expanding. So I would expect to see custom UI and things like that as first-class citizens here in the fullness of time. So now that we've checked out the branch and we've run that run upgrade tool, it's crunching. And you'll see some restore failure notifications pop up because the dev kit extension is trying to reload things mid upgrade. But we're done now. So it asked me if I wanted it to generate that same report. So I asked it to. We approve a couple tools, and then we will get that final report markdown. And very similar to what we saw on the VS side, the projects, the TFMs, the packages, the commits, and the next steps. So this is an example of the same core functionality expressed and presented differently based on the context of the editor and what the user expectations are for that editor. So this is all bleeding edge, all preview, as we saw. So it will change, but it will be awesome. And that's where we'll stop.
Awesome.
Right,
Thanks,
McKenna.
Chet. Yeah, this looks so great. These are live demos, and this is proof that these are live demos, and the show must go on. Very hot off the presses, bleeding edge stuff here. Thank you for sharing. I think now that we've seen the tool in action, it's worth talking about how we've been engaging with customers and starting to validate this design. So over the last couple months, we have been working very closely with teams to make real-world upgrades happen. To start, we partnered with multiple first-party teams to upgrade their projects to .NET 8 and to .NET 9, and these have been hands-on, collaborative sort of code with sessions where we've worked side by side with engineers to modernize their applications. And the result is that we have several teams who have now fully migrated with successful upgrades requiring very little to no manual intervention. And really one of the most rewarding parts of working on GitHub Copilot upgrade for .NET has really been seeing how it directly impacts developers. And the feedback that we've been getting so far has been super awesome to see. So it's been exciting to see how the upgrade process has gone from this multi-day headache to a matter of minutes for most of our users. Developers are consistently telling us that the tool's automated dependency cleanup removes the tangle of outdated and unused NuGet packages, so no more hunting down orphaned references. They're basically just hitting upgrade, making 2 or 3 small manual adjustments, and then a few minutes later getting a PR out that they can review and test. So the speed and simplicity of this new experience has translated into genuine confidence, it seems. Engineers who have successfully moved to .NET 9 are already telling their peers to give the tool a try, and we're really thrilled to see this sort of organic advocacy. Beyond raw functionality, users keep highlighting the smooth, intuitive experience. From the moment that they click upgrade to the resulting report, it's been a smooth experience. And this is exactly what we've envisioned, helping teams confidently move forward with .NET upgrades, not as this painful manual process, but as an automated AI-assisted workflow. It's been really great to see the impact we've had so far, but we know that scaling this customer impact means making the process even easier. So that's why we're transitioning to a more self-serve model so that anyone, not just the teams that we've worked with directly, can leverage GitHub Copilot upgrade for .NET to streamline their own migrations. And we're taking this a step further by expanding access beyond first-party teams. So this is where you come in. We're opening up access to third-party customers. And if this sounds like something you're interested in trying out, we would love to get you involved here. So if you're working on a .NET upgrade or planning one soon, this is your chance to be among the first to experience the tool and actually help shape its future. So if you scan this QR code on the slide, it will send you to a form where you can sign up for private preview access. So I'll give you a minute to scan the code and grab the link. But don't worry, I will also have the QR code on our last slide that will stay visible during Q&A, so you can grab it at the end as well. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Don't worry, the QR code will be back. But before we open up the floor to discussion and questions, I just wanted to take a moment to address some of the most common questions that we do get about GitHub Copilot upgrade for .NET. And these are really important considerations, especially when it comes to how the tool works, but also what it does not do. So one of the biggest questions that we hear is, can I interact with the model? Can I provide a prompt or train it on my organization's code base, basically? And the short answer here is no. So unlike traditional AI tools where you might enter, say, free-form prompts, GitHub Copilot upgrade operates in a more structured way. So the AI is actually embedded within the build and fix process. So the prompts it uses are predefined and they're tied to the upgrade workflow itself. So it's not something that you can train on your code base, and it's not something that you can manually steer with custom instructions, at least at this point. A little bit more on that in a bit. However, the tool does have some adaptability within a session, right? We had mentioned this learning from manual interventions. So if you manually adjust a fix, it'll learn from that in the short term and apply similar corrections if it encounters the same issue again. So you can think of this as refining its approach within the scope of that upgrade, not training on your code for future projects. We'll never store a user's code base, and we'll never use your code for training the model. Once an upgrade is complete, the session data will be deleted and is not stored. Another common concern is a similar vein around data privacy. So I know a lot of you might be thinking, what kind of customer data is collected? Is my code being sent somewhere? And again, the answer here is no, your repository data and code are not collected. So the only telemetry that we do collect is high-level metadata, so things like project types and just general upgrade intent. And this just helps us understand how the tool is being used without ever actually storing or analyzing your code. So your data stays where it belongs, which is with you. And I really did want to take a moment to highlight these points because they're quite fundamental to how we've built this tool. We know that AI-assisted development needs to be both powerful and responsible, so that's exactly what we are prioritizing here. Another big question we get is around support for .NET framework projects. So right now, our primary focus is on .NET Core to .NET Core upgrades. So if you're moving from like .NET 5 or 6 to .NET 8 or 9 or some similar upgrade path, this tool is built specifically to make that transition as seamless as possible. But what if you're coming from .NET Framework? We know that this is a very big challenge for many teams. So in those cases, we do recommend starting with the free .NET Upgrade Assistant, the one available today on Visual Studio Marketplace. And this tool can help you make that initial leap to .NET Core. But once you've completed that first step, it's easy to then use GitHub Copilot Upgrade to further modernize your code, close that gap, optimize your dependencies, and then just smooth out any remaining upgrade complexities there. We also often get asked if you need a Copilot license for this tool. And the answer is yes, since this is a Copilot feature, you do need a Copilot license to use the tool. That said, there is one important thing to keep in mind here. You do have to be permitted to use Copilot on your code in compliance with local regulations and your company's policies. So some organizations do have specific guidance and guidelines around AI-assisted coding, so just be sure to check with your team if you're unsure there. But in terms of access, all you need is the Copilot license. Our goal is really to make modernization as accessible and seamless as possible. One last key point is that this tool supports Git source control only. Since the tool is tightly integrated with Git and makes incremental commits, like Chad had showed in our demo, your projects will need to be tracked by Git version control in order to take full advantage of the experience. So repositories hosted in places other than GitHub, like Asdo, for example, those will be supported as long as they do use Git source control. So if your projects fit these criteria and you're ready to really just take your .NET upgrades to the next level, at the end, again, I will be sharing that QR code with the sign up for access. But first, as we wrap up today's session, I did want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek at where we're headed. So our roadmap is super packed with enhancements designed to make your upgrade journey even smoother than it already could be. First, we're looking at adding enhanced configurability for upgrades generally. So this would be providing much more granular control over pretty much every aspect. So soon you'll be able to guide NuGet package updates, choose exactly which package replacements to apply, for example, customizing your code writing rules, and basically just being able to tweak other upgrade behaviors to match your team's standards. So whether you need fine-tuned transformations or you're just looking for opinionated defaults, Copilot Upgrade for .NET can adapt to your workflow. We're also actively investing in platform agnostic support, and today we're experimenting with adding MCP or Model Context Protocol support, as Chet had demoed in Visual Studio Code. And these are definitely prototypes, and the technology is moving very quickly. But we do know that teams work everywhere, on-prem, in the cloud, even on specialized platforms. So we're looking to build platform agnostic tooling so that you can get that same reliable upgrade capability no matter where your code actually lives. As you all know, the AI landscape is literally changing week over week. So implementation details are subject to change here. We'll basically just go where users are. The idea is that we're looking to make this tooling more portable. So we're imagining a world where you can run upgrades directly on your servers, in CI/CD pipelines, or just alongside your existing IDE experiences. Finally, we do recognize that scaling upgrades across dozens or even hundreds of repositories, this just should not be a manual grind, right? So we're planning to invest in fleet-wide orchestration so that you can go ahead and automate those organization level upgrades all in one go. You can imagine defining your upgrade configuration once, you can trigger it across your entire code base, and then monitor progress from some sort of central tooling. We do know that upgrading at scale and in an automated fashion is something that a lot of teams need a lot of help with. So we definitely have this one on our radar for the future. So these are all actively in development by our team. We're working on a lot these days, and we really can't wait for you to try out these features once they're in the product. So stay tuned for more product announcements. Make sure you sign up for the tool with the QR code, and be sure to catch us at BuildConf in May to learn more. So that about wraps up our presentation for GitHub Copilot upgrade for .NET.